Welcome to our online audience to the 89th edition of the Rankin Cup, and we are just about to start the playoff for the bronze medals match between St Kentigern's College and Hamilton Boys High School in the red and black. With me today is Chris Goldsberry, a very colourful local who we've imported from Auckland for many years. Welcome, Chris.
Thanks, Bridie. Good to be here.
And we welcome our viewing again to this edition in the brand new Puna Sports Hub in Christchurch here. This facility's only been built in the last 18 months to replace earthquake damaged infrastructure. So we've got obviously two brand new hockey turf in the facility. Rugby leagues had the replacement for their Ellington Park, and with tennis courts, the brand new running track behind us, and football to be included next season. So this is all brought about and with the Christchurch City Council in conjunction with Sport Canterbury and the various sporting codes. And Christchurch City Council is one of the supporters of this event today. So here, Chris, we've got the walkout coming on with the two teams and the lineups.
Yeah, so for Hamilton Boys High in the distinctive black with red trim, their goalkeeper Miles Landon, number 2 Dylan Bates, number 7 Luke Aldridge, number 8 Finn Windenbecher, number 9 Cameron Steffert, number 10 and captain Jacob Sochun, number 11 Oliver Gordon, number 12 Connor Robinson, number 13 Tai Wihare, number 14 Logan Potter, number 15 Thomas Marchant. Coming off the bench for them, number 3 Gus Nelson, number 4 Sam Boris, number 5 Ethan Barton, number 6 Nils Dorbin, and number 16 Keelan Stafford. They are coached by Steve Smith and looks like assisted by ex-Blackstick Richie Petherick. The St Kentigern College side in the distinctive blue and white stripes. Starting for them, their goalkeeper Tom Petit, number 2 Kevin Goodenbill, number 3 Cam Gordon, number 4 Dylan Muggleston, number 8 Keishan Narsai, number 10 Luke Holmes, number 11 Jacob Horton, number 12 Daniel Wood, number 14 Thomas Vaughan, number 15 and captain Josh Child, and number 17 Lennox Moss. And substitutes for them, number 5 Matthew Vaughan, number 6 Archie Manning, number 7 Liam Smith, number 9 Manasmarat Singh, and number 16 Zach Atwood. And they are coached by Ramesh Patel, former Olympic gold medalist.
And to add to any game, we need officials, and earning the whistle for these two games, or for this game today, is Samuel Bunamasi, affectionately called Bruno Mars is his nickname, and we have Caleb Perry as the other, with local James Mount Stevens as the third umpire, Graham Barnsley from Auckland as a technical officer, and Kerry Dyson as judge. So here we are, we're just about to hit back for quarter one. This year Rankin moved from the normal 25-minute halves through to the 15-minute quarters. So this is a new format for Rankin, but a format that's been well used with higher levels and a lot of club hockey in the last 5 seasons. So we have Hamilton Boys with the first start to the match.
It's good to see the sun has come out, Bridie, after a couple of probably all week of rain, and it might be a little bit cold, but it's good to see the sun out and the sun shining for the bronze medal playoff.
A lot of our North Island contemporaries and friends would suggest that we're always cold, but this would be some of the coldest weather that Canterbury's experienced this winter. So these teams have battled some pretty extreme conditions, outside snow in the last week. So ball just going around the back, and Hamilton just quiet start here.
Key battle today will probably be the midfield battle between Lennox Moss from St Kent's and Jacob Sochun from Hamilton Boys, both playing in the central midfielders role and pretty effective for both teams all week. So look for them to try and cancel each other out and probably go one better if they can, and a lot of the traffic will go through them and set up the play for the rest of their teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't seen much of St Kitts this week, Chris, but I've certainly been watching Hamilton boys, and they certainly stepped up in their semi-final, and the ball about to go to number 13, who I've got his name now, Ty Waihari. He will be key in their strikers, and he's a man you do not give any space to.
Yeah, he's dangerous, he's fast, he likes to be quite aggressive, so I'm sure they'll try and find him as they turn the ball over and have an early opportunity.
Come here. Oh, we've got a goal! Deflected in by the very man we've spoken about.
Tai Wahare with the opening goal, a beautiful deflection off the crash ball from Jacob Sochun, and just like that, after a minute and a half, Hamilton boys take the lead.
And we're looking at this here, lovely cross, just getting in the front there with the stick, nicking the ball past nudging it past the keeper. Outstanding goal. So Kent's on the move here.
An early goal is always a nice settler, probably for both teams. There's always a little bit of nerves, especially today. One of the teams is going to walk home with a Rankin Cup medal and the other one will go home empty-handed. So an early goal will be settling, especially for the Hamilton boys side, who I'm sure would want to be playing in the big dance this afternoon, but they're here and they're ready to go one step better than they did last year. They played in this game but ended up in fourth, so they'll be hoping to get their hands on that bronze medal and go back to the North Island happy.
Yeah, and looking at their history, they were gold medalists in 13 and 14, so they know what it feels like to have a medal. Kent's circle entry here, coming through just a nice wee nudge. Tommy with the keeper with a long corner. So you're just talking about the first two teams. I think if we thought about earlier in the week, it was possibly a little bit surprising that we're seeing these two teams in the third and fourth. I think most people were expecting them to be in the final. There should be a penalty corner here.
Yeah, tournaments are always throw up plenty of surprises, and I think the format that we've got with 4 knockout games, it's always tough winning 3 of them to get to the final, isn't it? You can sort of back yourself to win a couple, but to win 3 on the trot to get to the final is always pretty tough. And I think yesterday showed that both games going to shootouts. These two teams easily could have been there, but they're not, and so they've got to make sure they reset and aim for that bronze medal.
Injection coming through, looking like a straight drag. Save, pushed wide by the keeper, long corner.
And drag flick there from number 4, Dylan Muggleston, but well saved by...
Ball to the back, coming in the crowd. Another penalty corner just off the foot of number 14 there for Hamilton boys.
So St Kitts heading back after conceding that early goal and putting the pressure on and earning their second penalty corner. They've actually been quite effective from penalty corner time throughout the week. Some key goals, so look for them to mostly go direct from the drag flick to see if they can get past Miles Landon and the Hamilton boys' goal.
Dylan Muggles. Oh, post! Rebounds off the post. Will this be a quick counter-attack from Hamilton? Ty with the ball, number 13. Gets the ball across. Well defended here by St Kentigans, moving the ball forward. Can they keep possession now?
Yeah, as we saw, a direct penalty corner drag flick there from Kevin Goodenbill. Just hitting that left post and rebounding out, unfortunate, and I'm sure that they'll look to continue to put the pressure on, especially from penalty corner time from drag flicks like that.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to change too much on that one. That's only millimetres off from a goal, so long ball, try and find their number, the high striker, number.
Looks like early on both these coaches have said to the teams to go out there and really give it a really good play in terms of attacking feel, and we're seeing a bit of end-to-end hockey and plenty of chances, which is good, and that's what you want to see, especially in the final game of the tournament. For a lot of these boys, it's their last ever game for their school side, so you want to make sure you go out there, you give it all you can, and know that at the end of the game, it's going to sit pretty well if you're able to come out on top.
And the energy from both sides looks pretty good, Chris. What people don't know is Chris was a gold medalist coach 2 years ago in Hamilton, and just an arm wrestle with local school. He was coaching cross college at that stage, and with the arm wrestle with Christchurch Boys High School, and it really was a battle of attrition with both sides very tired. So looking very, very energetic this game at the moment.
Yeah, both teams have obviously done pretty well throughout the year, and I'm sure part of that has been a strong program and making sure the boys are fit to play. This is their 7th game in 6 days, so that's plenty of hockey, and it's good to see them still running around with high energy levels and really taking it to each other.
Yeah, and interesting, the rules now allow teams to come here with 18 like they do for National Hockey League or an international, and I think we're only seeing both sides with 16. So, they've come through to a final. Tie number 13, finding space out on the right. Is that ball going to come across? He tries to go to the narrow side. 16. And it's been quite interesting to see, and I think we'll find that in the finalists too. I believe they're only 16 each.
Yeah, I think it's probably quite tough for a school side to be able to find 18 players, especially when you have a lot of variety in ages. So and a lot of them have second 11s below them that if you're 17 or 18, you're probably better off playing for the second 11 or something like that. So
you will get some hockey because the second keeper's not going to get a lot of hockey at this year. You always put your number one out.
Yeah, and 18 is quite a high number to manage. But when you're playing 7 games in 6 days, it's probably not the worst thing to have. But these sides have got 16 and seem to use them some pretty well. They've got some key guys who'll probably play some pretty big minutes anyway. So
yeah, well, we've mentioned a couple of them. Just ball clearing to the side now. Both sides just still trying to test and find the holes. There's no dominance from either side just yet.
Yeah, and a couple to watch for St Kennington's up the front. Luke Holmes, number 10, and Kevin Goodenbeal, number 2. They've really been the sort of main 2 strikers for St Kent's all week, and they look to get them the ball and use their speed and their strength, especially coming through that middle of the field through Lennox Moss. They've also got the twin towers at the back, Josh Child and Daniel Wood.
He's a big boy.
They clean up, they know how to tackle pretty well, they know how to outlet, they can throw big overheads, so they seem to have a pretty solid way of playing the game, and it's worked pretty well for them throughout the year, and again all the way through the Rankin Cup week.
Yeah, well, both these teams were local competition winners as well. The St Kennington's winning their local Auckland derby and finishing second in the, I think it's the Super City or the Inner City Auckland competition to Ross Mini. So, and Waikato boys won the local competition in Midlands area. And we'll find that when we discuss the finals as well, similar sort of theme.
Yeah, you usually do find that teams that have been successful throughout the season in their local competitions seem to be pretty successful at the back end of the Rankin Cup weeks, especially drawing on that experience and playing in those finals that they have throughout the year. And today we see that in the 4 teams that are on display and the 2 teams out there playing off for the bronze medal. So just under 5 minutes left in the first quarter. Hamilton boys still holding on to their 1-goal lead that they scored after less than 2 minutes.
Yeah, both sides are just still testing each other out. There just doesn't seem to be overall dominance by either side just yet. Been quite cautious in the way they're approaching things. Some space being opened up here. Number 2, Daniel Wood moving forward. Strong tackle coming from restart here inside the 22. Daniel Wood. Oh, duffs it. Back of the stick. Overhead here, one of the few overheads we've really seen today. Josh Child just taking the ball under control, moving it forward. And there's likely to be some sanctions over here. Strong tackles, stick hack, and we have both Caleb and Sam flashing the green.
Yeah, first card of the game, number 8. Kishan Nasai from St Kentigans goes down and takes a 2-minute sit on the naughty chair.
Yep. It's quite funny when you see up here, you know when they're going to come. 2.5, just under over 2.5 to go in the first quarter. Hamilton boys one ahead. Luke Holmes just moving the ball nicely here, trying to find space in the midfield. Still going. Holding possession.
Yeah, and Holmes likes to carry the ball at pace, especially when he picks it up sort of on that halfway with a couple of defenders in front of him. He'll look to take them on with his speed and see if he can get around the outside.
Yeah, but good channeling coming in from the Hamilton boys there, just not committing or over-committing. But Hamilton really need to take this advantage being with St Kentigans one man down. They're just struggling to actually break that screen.
Yeah, it's definitely a part of the St Kitts game that's very good. Their defence, and a lot of it is sort of a three-quarter or a half-court where they just sit in the zonal press and just wait for the ball to come to them, as opposed to chasing the ball. They don't seem to have many gaps for the opposition to get through, and really hard to break down, but where they are susceptible a little bit is on the counter-attack like we see here now.
Just a wee bit loose from number 13, Taiwa Hurry. Not been as effective as I thought he might be in this match.
Hey, he's got a goal to his name. I'm pretty sure he'll be pretty content.
At the moment. So a minute to go. Quarter 1. Child challenged, and we've got a lovely tackle there. Daniel Wood. Another strong tackle came from St Kentigans. They need to watch it. So Kent will just be quite happy to chew this last 20 seconds out. Big cross. Trapped nicely by Childs, and that's the end of the quarter 1. So at the end of quarter 1, we have in the first 90 seconds, the first goal through to Hamilton Boys High School, leading 1-0. So Chris, just looking at this at the moment, where do you feel we're sitting? You know, does any team have any distinctive advantage?
Well, I think the scoreboard says 1-0 to Hamilton Boys, so there's your first advantage, Bridie. But no, to be honest, it's been pretty even. I'm sure the stats would probably show that. They seem to have both had a number of circle penetrations, maybe sitting around the 5 marks. St Kents have had a couple of penalty corners, but they weren't able to to put them away. So yeah, a relatively even start to the game, which is good, and the energy levels from both sides look to be pretty high regarding that it's their 7th game in 6 days. So both teams will be reasonably happy with where they're at. I'm sure Hamilton boys just a little bit more happier with that 1 goal to their name.
Yeah, and for folks who might also be at home but also have the access to another tablet or internet device, we are trying to track some statistics on the game under the Altius. So I believe if you go into Hockey NZ and you have access to the public portals for the Altius match recording system, you will be able to see some stats and some online information. So just chewing down 50 seconds before we restart this match.
So Bryden, normally over the last few years you've been umpiring and wearing the yellow shirt. Is there a reason why you weren't asked to umpire this year?
Old. No, actually it's a very good point, because things have changed within the officiating with this tournament. So last season was the first season that Hockey NZ actually appointed umpires to this match. Previous to that it was the policy or the method that each school brought their own umpire. Now, unfortunately, at some tournaments you ended up with, no disrespect to bus drivers, but you could have someone turning up in a set of gumboots, and the quality of the officiating wasn't really at the standard, especially for this tournament. So now Hockey NZ identify the young men and women that they wish to go to this and federation, and the schools pay a bond for that.
Yeah, I thought there was a reason why you weren't umpiring, and given that Hockey New Zealand appoint quality umpires, I understand why you're not.
The bear chat starts. I'm sort of moving, doing a few other things within the within the space now, Chris. And it is, this is a development path for our officials. So, there'll be some young men and women in this here this week who will be at NHL under 21s. A number of these are under 18 umpires at the moment. So it gives Hockey NZ another ability to look at them, give them some coaching. There's been 3 coaching managers this year for the umpires, and it's just another development process.
It's good to see plenty of the teams that have finished their tournament putting on their number ones and coming to watch the final few games, which means that they we'll have a pretty good crowd to see these final couple of matches and see where the medals end up.
Yeah, we would expect a big contingent for the final coming out of the South Canterbury region, and I think we're going to have some fun come finals time.
As Lennox Moss, the one we talked about earlier, central midfielder, playing really well and carrying the ball through that midfield, trying to create for St Gents to see if they can get them back on level terms. There's a lot of quality about both of these sides, and I'm sure yesterday's matches were pretty tough for them to overcome, going all the way to shootout, both of them having actually led those matches.
Yes.
Hamilton boys up 2 against Timaru, and St Kitts scoring the early goal against King's High School before letting them back into the game, and both games being decided by shootouts, which is always a tough one, but you've got to do it if you end up tied at regulation.
And we do, both sides are well coached. Obviously we've mentioned Ramesh Patel with the St Killigans. This will be his 2nd or 3rd season with the team, Chris. I know he was there last year, but it's good to see a man of his stature just giving back to the sport. Steve Smith with Hamilton Boys High School has been with them a number of years now. He's also a quality coach.
Yeah, and with Richie Petherick alongside him, who's obviously got plenty of experience from a playing perspective, it's great for these young men to have those sorts of mentors working with them throughout the year. And
we'll see that theme with our finalists too. 2 very good coaches sitting in those teams assisting. So St Killigan's just looking to take this small edge here going into this quarter. Just sustained pressure sitting on. I think we've got a PC here. Is it for the 5 metres? I'm not quite sure, is Chris? Bruno's not happy. There's a wee bit of discussion going on.
It's always good to see the umpires and players having a good relationship and being able to, just quietly talk about different things during the game. But the Hamilton boys know they have to get themselves set and ready to defend St Kitts' third penalty corner in their first of this second quarter. Look for the direct flick again.
It's going to be... Hamilton boys still haven't got it cleared. Finally.
That's great goalkeeping from Miles Landon. Found himself on the ground and quickly jumped up onto his feet as we see the replay here, and saved on the line.
Long corner here, a little bit of excitement. Ball just sneaking past, keeper letting it go deliberately. Good decision there. Good pressure coming on here. St Kitts make another circle penetration. Ball still in position, coming back into the middle. What have we got here? Keeper made a good save. I would suggest that it's clipped the foot as it's gone through.
Yes, St Kitts really piling on the pressure now. We've just seen a ball go into the net, but not quite touched by a St Kitts player, and then a great save by Miles Landon again in the Hamilton boys' goal. He's playing really well today, and St Kitts have their fourth penalty corner of the match with just less than 10 minutes remaining in this first half.
Can't quite see the player, but there was a beautiful baseline carry that set that opportunity up. It's in!
Yeah, well struck there from Kevin Gildenbill. The direct flick high into the net, and I think a well-deserved goal for St Kennegans to draw them level.
Absolutely.
So we see the replay coming in high over the left poster. You can do nothing about that.
And interesting, if you actually looked at the setup of the corner, both drag flickers had changed, so it's obviously a tactic or they're well drilled on how they want to present their penalty corners to the opposition. So 1-1.
Yeah, and as we have a look at the possession stats, Bridie, we've got St Kitts just under 60% and Hamilton boys just above 40, so
yeah,
you can see that St Kitts has really started to control the game and control possession, and I think a well-deserved goal for them to draw level.
Well, that goal came from previous penalty corner, but about another 3 or 4 other circle penetrations, so Hamilton boys going to have to step up now. Again, you've seen St Kitts just half-court him, but waiting quite patiently, as you mentioned. That seems to be their tactic this week.
Yeah, and if you're able to generate a really good penalty corner bracket and a really solid defensive unit, it's definitely a recipe for success.
Lovely long ball.
Something that St Kitts have done over the last couple of years, and if it's not broken, don't fix it, eh? We see Hamilton boys again going through So-Chun through the middle. He's got a busy period ahead. He's actually in the Midlands NHL side, so it's a pretty good effort from a school kid to be playing at NHL, and he'll get a week's rest and then he'll be back into it up in Tauranga in just over exactly a week's time. They begin NHL, so
13th, I think, is it? 13th of September.
7 days away, so hopefully he gets some good rest.
Yeah.
For the next week, and then he'll be back into it.
And you're again attending the national senior tournament, Chris, with the mighty Beavers.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to get in the team again, so looking forward to getting up to a warmer climate, hopefully.
Tauranga's a great host. wee breakaway here. Okay, we've got a wee card here. Not quite sure. I think it was just for the way he came back across the player.
Looks like number 7, Luke Aldred from Hamilton Boys, jogs across and gets his 2-minute sit down.
Yeah, well, it would have been nice to actually allow that play to continue and then come back for that infringement if we really needed to, but they might.
Some would say good defending, just try and slow it down, especially on a counter-attack.
Christopher, that's not necessarily your tactic, would it be? I notice they've pushed you up into the strikers. You've been banned from the midfield and defenders role.
Yeah, utilise my pace at my young age up the front. No, on that counter-attack, you want to be able to try and slow them down without probably getting the card. But especially when a team's able to attack with pace, you want to be able to slow them down and let your team get back and get numbers in defence, which you could see Hamilton Boys were trying to do, but just maybe a little bit too agricultural in the way that they did that, and they go down to 10 men for the 2 minutes.
So currently just in the last 5 minutes of this quarter, scores are tied at 1-1. Hamilton Boys scoring in the first 90 seconds with a fantastic deflection goal off the baseline, and Hamilton Boys, St Kentigern's responding in Q2 in the sort of the 5 minutes in with a direct penalty corner drag flick. Certainly a well-disciplined side, this St Kentigern's structured. Hamilton Boys just struggling to find their way to break through this, because they have been a bit of a counter-attack side through the pool play. They like a little bit of mess and they like a bit of space.
Yeah, and St Kent's are really effective through Child and Wood at the back.
Oh, here.
As we see Wood just jumping in and cutting it down, and they're able to shut down any attacks that come their way, but also really good at outletting the ball and getting the ball into their midfielders. So as the game starts to open up a little bit, they'll look to overhead and throw a little bit longer passes, as we see Hamilton Boys do the same thing. And
nice receive there.
Child again defending well and cutting them out, and probably helps that he's got a slightly longer reach than most of the players out there, but you play to your strengths, and he's a pretty hard man to get around.
And he's clean in the addressing of those tackles. You know, he has been penalised a few times for his tackling.
A lot cleaner than his father, some would say.
Ooh, now that's an Auckland jive if I've ever seen one, so that's local knowledge, Chris.
Yeah, you can see his father, Graham Child, in the crowd here, and he's been quite quiet in the first half. I'm sure he'll start to find his voice as the game gets closer and heads into the later stages of the game.
So would this young man be Simon's cousin? Or no relation?
No relation, no. He's also in the Senior A basketball team.
Is that surprising?
Not surprising at all. So he's had a busy year. He was in the Auckland Under-18 hockey team, and obviously the St Kitts basketball team has done pretty well, and I'm going to say that they're heading away to the national secondary school basketball champs, which is in the first week of the holidays as well. So
in September.
He's still got plenty of sport ahead of him. Fair
enough. So he's actually maintaining 2 codes, which is interesting considering the report that came out with the joint codes. NZ Hockey or Hockey NZ are part of that, encouraging players to, not necessarily specialise in any one code. He may be trying to specialise in 2 codes.
Yeah, I think at school sport level there's so many opportunities to be able to play 2 sports, whether it's summer and winter or 2 sports in the winter. It's good to see them being able to do that, and he's, I'm sure, one of many boys who are doing that this week, having played 2 sports, and to play it at a high level at school sport definitely would take its toll on you, but it's good to see that they're able to do that, and I'm sure there's been...
Big clearance here from Child, the man we're speaking about, just missing, just putting it behind his striker running on base, but good vision there.
I'm sure there's been a lot of work between the coaches to allow that to happen, and
I could imagine.
Good to see them being able to do that.
Because it does take cooperation and a little bit of understanding. Because it's quite easy to blow players out at this stage.
Yeah, Josh is one of, I think, 7 players out on that field today who's also part of the New Zealand under-18 development squad. So picked from the under-18 tournament in Wellington in July.
Okay. We might talk about that at the half-time break. You're involved in that as a overall squad manager. I'd imagine assistant coach at different times. You couldn't help yourself.
I try and stay out of that.
You couldn't help yourself. Let's be fair.
Some pretty good people in there who are coaching. So as we go into the final minute of this first half, still 1-1 on the scoreboard. A pretty even game so far. Our position stats are still slightly in favour of
Here we go.
Hamilton boys. As that long range overhead seems to be a bit of a tactic from Hamilton boys as they launch.
I'm surprised I haven't seen more overheads because they do have some men or young men that can throw a decent 50-metre pass.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive to see a 50-metre overhead at schoolboy level, and
used quite effectively as well.
Yeah, exactly. They seem to be able to put it on target.
Last 20 seconds. Can St Kent's get this ball into the net, into the circle and create something? Hamilton just defending quite desperately here. And there we have, at the end of the half, we have the scores tied with Hamilton boys the first scorer in approximately the 90th second with a deflection off the baseline to Ty. Where is Ty's surname again?
Ty Wihare.
Yep. And then we had the St Kentigans drag flicker in about the 20th minute.
Curvin Goodenbill with a flick high into the top right-hand corner. Pretty even match. I think 1-1 at this stage is probably a fair reflection of that first 30 minutes that we saw.
Yeah, there has been some dominance from both. I think St Ken's are looking a little bit more dangerous. Again, you've mentioned the penalty corner. We've seen 3 strong penalty corners, 1 score. We've had a post. So they could have easily been up 2 by now. And their possession stats are sort of favouring St Kentigans. And, certainly from a PC, they've had 4 PCs. They've had 6 shots on goal. So, whereabouts really we've only seen 1 shot from Hamilton boys. So, there's a few key areas there that is showing up.
Yeah, as we see the replay of that first goal from Tai Wihare with some great work from Jacob Sochun coming in, picking it up and sending the ball straight onto the stick.
And that's just a reversey too. That was
a really nice touch in front of goal, and then St Kent's responded on their 4th penalty corner with a great drag flick from Curvin Goodenbill and a nice wee fist pump celebration.
So Chris, we briefly mentioned that we had the Under-18 Association and Regionals in July of this year, which a lot of these boys from these teams would have probably attended. From that, there has been some development squads. Is that the correct term? Would you like to speak to that, and maybe we'll mention some of the players from the side? We have mentioned them, but...
Yeah, so coming out of that tournament, I think there's a group of about 38 players who were selected in the under-18 development squad sort of for the next 12 months, and they'll go through and partake in a couple of sort of camps, one coming up in the October school holidays up in Tauranga for 5 days, and they're basically split into 2 teams, and they work on a whole lot of different things and play a couple of games against each other and bring the best of the best in the country together. And then probably early in 2020, around one of the Pro League weekends, the boys will come together again and spend a couple more days together, play a couple more games and challenge themselves within that group before they then move back into their either their schools or their regions and go back into the 2020 season. So a cool opportunity for those guys. It obviously doesn't mean that they're going to push on and make the Black Sticks. It's it's just a stepping stone for those guys, and players that maybe miss out on that still have the chance to push for as well. So it's just a group of players who have done really well this year and are given the opportunity to extend themselves in that group and work with some pretty impressive coaching staff.
Yeah, I was going to mention the coaching. What sort of resources Hockey NZ put to that?
Yeah, so both teams will have a head coach. So Mitch Hayde will lead one side and Jaime Gill will lead the other side. Jaime's assisted by Joe Hanks, who's a top-level NHL player and has been for many years, and Mitch is assisted by Aaron Ford, who is the current Canterbury Cats NHL coach. So some pretty impressive artillery there to coach the boys, and it's sort of the second year of that sort of structure, which worked pretty well last year, and it'll flow into this year, and this group's really flowing into the 2021 Junior World Cup, I think it is. So an opportunity for those guys to press claims for that, but also just to extend themselves and grow as players, so then to filter back into their schools, their clubs and their regions.
So is Bryce Collins still coaching that 21 side, and he's been overseeing this group or just been observing this group?
Yeah, so they're off to Malaysia in a few weeks' time, the under-21 side. So Bryce heads that up and Mitch Hayde works with him there. So plenty of opportunities for players coming through, and it's an exciting time for a lot of these players. I think we've got 7 on display in this game who are in that, and plenty more are going to filter through over the next few years.
Okay, start of quarter 3 and the second half. Just waiting for the restart here. I think we've actually got to find a hockey ball. So team yellow. Team yellow.
Might be the screen.
Okay, Hamilton boys coming through. Taiwara here, just battling with his offsider there, trying to find some space, gets the penalty.
I think it just might be the screen.
Bit of franticness here. Ty again finds some open space. Can he find some room to move forward? Pass coming through, trying to find one of his young players.
It's good.
Oh, crashing shot in from Hamilton boys there, taking off not only St Kentigern's heads but almost his own player. Child with the restart. Hamilton boys just holding the ground in the midfield here, just probing, but there's just no gaps in the St Kentigern's defensive lineup.
What do we think the messages to the teams were at half-time, Bridie?
I think if I was St Kitts, it would be just carry on. They're playing well. We're making circle penetrations. The penalty corner's working well. Again, we had a post, big overhead here, finding Childs in the circle, and he's free. He beats the keeper, but a good mop up there from Boys High. Whoa. That was actually quite credible. That was a fantastic overhead. That'll be a 45-metre crossfield pass.
And some, I reckon. Yeah, a really impressive ball. And that's what you want to see from your defensive fullback, getting out into the attacking circle and looking to create something.
Tie here down on the thing. And what's more impressive, look who was the receiver. So has he moved up a level? I mean, that's Childs.
And they've found him again. That connection between Daniel Wood and Josh Childs seems to be working really well.
Because Childs has been your central defender up until now, so there might have been a little bit of a shift there, or has he moved into the midfield?
I think he's just looking to create something for his side and push himself forward and look to find some space as he gets himself back into position. So I'm sure Ramesh is probably pulling his hair out, seeing his central defender up in the circle, but it almost came off for them.
Well, that created the overload.
and the look on his face, maybe he's regretting that a little bit. He had to do a few metres to get back into position, but good to see him really trying to press claims and find a way for St Kitts to get themselves in front on the scoreboard.
Yeah, he is. He seems to be just pushing forward a bit higher and a bit more, and that one's still a bit keen.
There's Wood again, looks for that long ball. It seems to be a few channels opening up for him to start targeting from the back, and a couple of them have started to come off, and he's been able to find some strikers or a high central defender. So look for that to continue as, boys probably start to tire in the second half. They've played a few games, and this pace of the third and fourth match has been relatively high. So those that are fit and can hold that pace will start to really take control of this game.
And while we are watching the current third, fourth bronze medal for Rankin Cup on Turf 2, we shouldn't forget that India Trophy, or India Shield, the Tier 2 tournament is going through its final classification matches, and the bronze medal match is looks like it's just finished. We don't see any results, but the gold medal match starts up in about 20 minutes, so that will be a wee bit of a southern derby as well, with St Bede's local college, St Bede's College, going head with John McGlashan from Dunedin.
As we see Ham boys in their defensive structure, pretty happy to sit back, similar to what St Kitts have been doing, and sort of hold up that halfway and wait for a mistake. Or a turnover like that, as So Chun does well, and some well constructed play from Hamilton boys there on the counter attack, as we see another green card, this time from Daniel Wood. Just a bit of a swinging tackle.
Yeah, that was that challenge on number 13 Ty from Hamilton boys. Another searching ball.
Yeah, and you can see the effectiveness of that sort of half-court press and being able to turn the ball over there. They were able to attack in basically a 2-on-2 situation and really attack at speed. And the only way that St Kitts could slow them down was a tackle that saw one of them sitting down in the chair for 2 minutes. So yeah, an effective way to be able to attack by just waiting for a time to pounce and then being able to attack with small numbers across a large area of the pitch.
So we've just probably seen a wee period for domination with Hamilton boys here, just putting the pressure back onto St Kitts a bit. Just looking here, Hamilton boys just starting to probe down the flanks a wee bit, trying to move the ball around the back a wee bit more. Just try and move the screens that St Kitts are effectively been putting up on them. It's been a very difficult circle to penetrate for Hamilton boys.
I thought a circus was a bit of a rough call there, Bridie, but
circle.
Just struggling with your words as per usual.
Struggling with the cold, to be honest.
The It's a great facility here, Bridie, and I'm sure you've probably sampled some of the sausage rolls and meat pies inside. How have they been this week?
Sausage rolls have been outstanding, Christopher. The facility has gone well. There's obviously teething problems with any facility, but generally the people coming in here quite impressed with what's been delivered here. So turfs are very good. The infrastructure around the turfs are excellent. We now have, for the first time for a number of years, some catering on site.
Yeah, when I got my coffee this morning, they said that you'd broken the record for the most sausage rolls in one day. So it's a pretty impressive record. It's going to be pretty hard to beat, I think.
The chat will start. Ooh, strong tackle here, but just...
St Kitts haven't been down this end of the field much in this second half, have they, Bridie? It's been pretty much down the other end, so it's good to see them starting to work their way back down there after a couple of early opportunities. They seem to have been camped in their own half, so they'll be looking to get themselves back into that area of the field where they can...
Well, the only time I've really seen some was when Child went through and picked up that very, very good overhead. Since that time, it's been very quiet.
You might see that happen again if they're unable to create. We might see the central defenders starting to work their way up the field. And as Luke Holmes again tries to create and finds a really good pass into the middle of the field.
This may cause...
well cut out, and Hamilton boys can counter-attack again, which they seem to like to do.
That ball might hold for us, this young striker. No. Hamilton on the charge here. Cross coming in. High ball, and we may have a player down with an injury here.
Just taking a wee ball to the knee there. It's always going to hurt a little bit. The play just stops as he looks to get to his feet.
4 minutes to go in the quarter. Seen coming in, some of the locals starting to rock in for the finals. John Radonovich, a ex-Blackstick from the 80s and 90s, just rocking up. Yeah, one thing with the Rankin Cup, this tournament's going since 1923, and
did you play in that game?
No, I actually I was actually very old by the time that started, Christopher. I've done well for my old age. You yourself have played Rankin as a player. How many years would you have had the privilege?
I played in 4 Rankin Cups, back in the 2000s. So one of them actually was in Christchurch at the old Pirate Park.
Oh, if that was 2000, that would have been just before it.
It was 2006 in Christchurch it was. So,
yep.
And I'm going to say it was probably colder then than it was this week, especially for us coming down from Auckland.
Yeah, you're a Jaffa then, let's be honest.
Yeah, it was, very cold for what we were used to, but yeah, awesome to see the tournament back in Christchurch after such a long time between, and obviously the earthquake's not helping the cause, but to have it back in Christchurch this year and a number of teams from the Canterbury region doing well, it's
another nice 45-metre overhead. It was tried.
It's actually awesome to see how the tournament's evolved back. When I was playing, a St Kennigans or a Hamilton boys weren't at the tournament, albeit the tournament was only 16 teams. But with now the 32-team format, you've got a lot more teams here. And as we know, with school sport, teams are always evolving and always changing, and it's not always the same teams at the top nowadays, which is pretty awesome.
So yeah, when we'll discuss it, we'll probably go through that, because when we look at our finalists, 4 years ago, neither of those teams were at Rankin. they've come out of basically nowhere, come through the progression, and steadily improved each year.
Yeah, and a team like St Kitts, who last year won their first ever Rankin Cup, you know, an area that they hadn't sort of been at, and now that they're, you know, getting themselves back to the bronze medal playoff was a pretty awesome effort. And Hamilton boys, having been, you know, reasonably strong over a number of years, they've got themselves back up to within a chance of a medal after maybe a couple of years being.
Yeah, there was a 2 or 3 year period where they did drop off with the strength, and when again we'll look at the finals later, but King's High School only made the Rankin in 2016, and we will have a new Rankin trophy holder this year because neither team has actually been in a final.
So we're less than a minute to go in this third quarter, still even Stevens at 1-1. Not too many chances in this third quarter, but here goes Luke Holmes on a run, and he'll earn himself a penalty stroke.
And 2 players are down, right on the full-time hooter.
A big collision of bodies. It looks like the Hamilton boys player left his feet.
What's happened here?
So Holmes is carrying the ball, and a collision of bodies coming together. I don't think he intended to take Holmes out of play, but
yeah, probably looked pretty ugly from Caleb Perry's viewpoint. I think it may have been actually the player coming from behind that's earned the penalty stroke, and may have made it a little bit worse than what it.
Yeah, definitely obstructed.
Yeah,
a little bit unfortunate as they were all coming together, but they seem to have got up, and they're both okay, which is good because there was a clattering of bodies there. But in the end, it's a penalty stroke to St Kennigan's, and Josh Child will step up, looking to give his side a lead with 40 seconds to go in this third quarter.
Wow. So Childs throws the keeper to the right and pops it on his left-hand side. Good deception from Childs. So St Kitts go 2-1 up. 40 seconds left on the clock. Big overhead coming from boys into the circle. We seem to mention Childs a lot, but the other large tall defender in there.
Daniel Wood.
He's had a pretty solid game himself.
Yeah, he's a really good player, and he's in the New Zealand under-18 group. He was in there last year as well. So, yeah, he's a really good defender, really patient tackler.
And I think he's the one throwing the overheads.
Yeah, and has a really good range of outletting skills. So, yeah, between him and Josh Child, they're probably two of the taller fullback duos in the tournament, probably in school hockey.
Yeah,
and they seem to defend really well.
Well, he does look taller. Then you put Childs next to him, and Childs just another half a head of taller again.
Yeah, and as a defender, a long reach is definitely an effective for them, and being able to keep the strikers well away from them. And as we've seen today, they've both been very effective.
So you, as the coach of Hamilton boys now, what would you be talking to your team about? We're 1 goal down.
You really challenge them. You've got 15 minutes left in your tournament. You've got 15 minutes left in your year. For some of them, they've got 15 minutes left in their school hockey careers, and there's a Rankin Cup medal on the line. So, it's about how much they just want to put in, how much effort they want to show. I think they've played well enough. They've been able to create, especially on the counter-attack.
Yep.
If they can just maybe tidy up a little bit of their counter-attack, then they'll give themselves an opportunity. But they've been doing enough. They've been playing well, and they know that, they might only get 1 or 2 opportunities in this fourth quarter. So they've got to take at least one of them to get back to level. And if they can grab 2 and put themselves out in front, well, that'd be great. But yeah, just that want that ability to just dig deep and find some sort of energy for this last 15 minutes, I'm sure, is a message that they want to get across.
I'm sure we're going to see more tempo coming into this match now. I would imagine St Kennigan's Ramish will be talking to his players about just carrying on with the basics and keeping things solid. Hamilton Boys has no other situation but to come forward now. At very least, another goal gives them the opportunity to win on shootout. Stats are still favouring St Kennigan's though. They've actually held the possession game and improved their percentages. St Kent's just holding the ball, being careful. Very disciplined. Nice putt. Yep, I was going to say number 6 is going to have a number 6 for Hamilton Boys. Niles Norburn just having a wee brain explosion with the stick. Wee green card. So we've actually had 4 green cards, I think it is now, Chris, in the match. Players probably need to be a little bit careful because some of them have been pretty cheap, and umpires at some stage decide that there's another option, and losing a player at 5 minutes in this quarter is going to be just critical.
Yeah, discipline is crucial. A green card for playing hard and pushing the boundaries is not sort of so bad, but if it starts to become a regular habit and you're always going down to 10 men, then it's just going to be tougher on the rest of your side, as we see Jacob Sochun looking to create again for his side.
Running strongly. Nice ball across. Oh.
Well defended by St Kent's. Yep. So yeah, look for Sochun to really start to get his hands on the ball and look to dictate for this final quarter. If he can do that, then the chances for Hamilton Boys hopefully can come.
Kent's on the restart, deep on the attacking 22. Again, ball coming out and around. They'll try and change the point of attack, shift the screens a wee bit. Poor pass here. Hamilton just seemed to be struggling getting men forward. Midfielder there was just looking for that long pull.
Yeah, the legs are going to be tired. They're going to be a bit heavy. That sort of mental fatigue will start to play its part as well. So just need to focus on letting the ball do the work, and hopefully something can come of that as Hamilton Boys again just sit back into their half-court press and wait for St Kitts to come towards them before they look to disrupt and take the ball off them.
You're just looking at Kents here. They just playing with so much structure and how they want to play the game. Lovely pass from Child into the midfield. Space being created here. Tommy coming. Unfortunately chucked over the top of the net.
Yeah, reverse stick shot there from Lennox Moss, just going high over the bar.
You'd be disappointed with that because that was a great opportunity.
Wouldn't be a bad shot if he was playing in the Rugby World Cup in a couple of weeks' time. So you'd think as the game starts to wind down, Bridie, that Hamilton Boys are going to start to they need to push numbers forward and high up the field, and this will probably help them with Luke Holmes being sent to the naughty chair, and we have 10 on 10 for a minute or so here. But yeah, they're going to have to put numbers forward if they want to erase this deficit and give themselves a chance.
So just looking at the match though, it's 2-1 down. When's Hamilton Boys going to pull the keeper?
There's no time like the present, hey? But that'll help as a diving challenge from the St Kentigern's player there, has been awarded in a penalty corner, as we see coming in. Yeah, he's taken Luke Aldred down there. Kishan Nasai from St Kent's, and umpire probably quite rightly has awarded a penalty corner. You can't leave your feet and try and take the player out there. And
well, I think we actually had 2 umpires given the penalty corner on that one, so there was neither was happy with that. So can Hamilton Boys level the score?
And so their first penalty corner of the match, number 7, Luke Aldred, he's one to watch. I think he scored 9 penalty corners during the tournament so far.
Here it comes. Nice save. And nicely saved from the keeper, Tom Petit. Hit it.
Yeah, great save. Probably, as we see the replay here, probably a comfortable height to be saving.
And I think it was fairly straight too. It wasn't a great PC.
Had a bit of power to it, but
speed.
Pettit did well to save that.
Oh, here's a crossfield overhead. I think that was slightly cooked.
Defensive bomb.
And yeah, not a great shot on either. There's a few errors coming in from St Kentigern's here.
Yeah, the defensive bomb's always an interesting tactic to be using, especially when you're 2-1 ahead in the fourth quarter. Yeah, we're really starting to, the crowd's really starting to get into the game in this final few moments. We spoke earlier that we thought Graham Child would find his voice, and he certainly has, and amongst a number of St Kitts and Hamilton Boys supporters as we head into the final 8 minutes of the bronze medal playoff.
Child with the restart.
Yeah, so with the new rules now, Bridie, we actually can't be given a heads up as to whether the goalie's going to come off, because the coach doesn't need to get the bib out anymore, as you just play with 11 field players. It's normally an easy giveaway when the coach brings out the bib, but with the rule change and not requiring a kicking fullback, it's hard to tell when the goalie might be pulled. But you'd think any time from now on in would be a good time to give it a crack and add in that extra striker to try and find that equaliser.
16 here. One of the few times St Kitts has got down here in the last 10-15 minutes. Strong long ball, trying to find his strikers. Sochi moving forward. Has he found some space? Quick restart. Umpire Bruno wants him back on the spot.
And Sochun's really starting to find some space in that midfield, and
he's having to be strong because he's been challenged strongly. Big infield. Nice turn on the defender. There'll be a penalty corner. That was nice work. I'm not sure who that player was. Nicely turned on his on the defenders and found the leg. That was Kentigern's defender.
Yeah, so look, Aldred, having been successful from 9 penalty corners throughout this tournament, he'll probably be the the main threat, number 7. He's setting up on the left battery, closest to the dragger, and look for him to fire down a drag flick. Scored a really good goal in the semi-final yesterday to put them ahead 3-2 late in the game.
Yep. Injection. Oh, we've got a break. What do we have here? Not going up. So the player's broken at the penalty corners, so has to retreat back to halfway. So St Kentigern's now defend with 3 field players. May not change the tactics too much for Hamilton boys. Here it comes, a drag. Oh! So I think we've had a deflection and there's a suggestion that it's come off the body. It was just a screamer.
There's a lot of calls for the replay. No one's really too sure what happened. Is that we see the drag flip coming in, and it looks as though it's come off a player on the line.
I've got a feeling it's
they've given a long corner, so looks like it's come off his stick. We'll say it's hit the stick and it's given a long corner. Good refereeing.
That was a bullet.
Off the stick onto the post.
That was a bullet.
Doesn't get much closer than that.
That was a bullet. I think we just started on a bully.
We just did. We had a bully, so...
Yeah, okay, due credit to both umpires. They just say that, it was a bullet. They don't have the ability to look at the referral that we do.
St Kitts do well to defend that, and a close one there.
Wow.
But St Kitts will breathe a little easier as they just look to get the ball downfield, and I think that'll be a tactic for the rest of the game for them, is just to clear the ball. They've only got 4 minutes to go, and
less than 4. Obviously, Hamilton not going to remove their keeper. I think if you're going to do it, you'd be doing it by now.
As Goodenbiel makes a good intercept, but can't quite connect with his player, and does well to recover and get the ball back. So, St Kitts will just look to wind the clock down now, as our graphics show 3 minutes to go, but on the clock here we're at 3 minutes 30, so an extra 30 seconds just due to that stoppage in play. As Hamilton boys really look to pour the pressure on in these final moments.
The young man, Gus Nelson, with the restart. Only a year 11. I've actually watched him through the week. He'll be a player that will be very important to Hamilton boys in the future.
It's a bit unfair when you've got him going up against Josh Child there, isn't it?
I'd say that will be a yellow. So that's the key penalty corner.
Luke Aldred, he takes a seat and he will sit the rest of this game out with 2 minutes 40 left on the clock.
Big bomb coming in here, and it's reached.
So that makes things harder for Hamilton boys. They're down to 10 men with just under 2 minutes 30 to go, needing to get themselves back on level peggings if they want to earn themselves this bronze medal.
So again, the young year 10 comes forward. You love it when you see the young fellas in these teams.
He's doing well. He's trying to create something.
Oh, he's going to be a great little player. He is creating something. Not quite sure what was there, but never mind.
As the ball comes across there, and it was sort of anyone's ball for a minute, but St Kitts able to cut that out and earn themselves a hit. And as we see another big overhead from Daniel Wood at the back, just relieves the pressure, and St Kitts will be happy to do that. They know they hold the power, they've got the goal advantage, and a minute 20 left in the game.
And a rear mistake here for number 15. Thomas Mackin just putting the ball over the sideline. So St Kitts won't be too worried about restarting quickly, but they can't muck around too much either. What's Hamilton going to do in the last 40 odd seconds? Can they get the ball forward? Can they find something? It's got to be now. Here it comes. Long pass through. He's found his high strikers. But with 30 seconds to go, defensive penalty hit. I think that will be the game.
Again, really good defending from Daniel Wilders. Looks like he's taken one on the knee, but he's cut it out, and Josh Child looks to run the clock down in the corner.
And again, takes his penalty, he'll throw a bomb, and that'll be game over. Yep, players themselves, basically all, they know the results, done and dusted. So at the end of full time, St Kennigan's 2-1 over Hamilton Boys High School at the sunny Christchurch but chilly afternoon at the Puna in Christchurch. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, a really good game of hockey, and two teams who really went at each other throughout the game, and maybe, St Kitts was slightly better on the day. I think it was really even throughout, and they got themselves ahead. At the back end of that game, and were able to defend really well. I think that probably, the key for them today was their defence through Child and Wood at the back. Were able to nullify Hamilton Boys on the occasions they got into their, defensive 25, and in the end a 2-1 victory was probably a fair reflection of the game, and a really good result for St Kitts backing up their victory last year. So well done to them. A great effort from Hamilton Boys as well.
Yeah, they came back. Their possessions were at the end of it, and Okay, so at the end of the bronze medal match, we'll now start the preparation for the gold medal match between Timaru Boys High School and Kings High of Dunedin. So we'll be back in approximately 25 minutes with the gold medal match.